Good evening, Fiji, and welcome to For the Record. We're less than 90 days away from this year's, national elections. Many of you looking forward to it, and we're also, leading up to the elections, awaiting the announcement of various candidates from various political parties. Some have announced their candidates, and some have yet to do that. And also we await many of the parties' manifestos. But with us this evening, and we're very grateful for him, for his time, it's the newly elected leader of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Felix Anthony. A very good evening to you, sir.
Good evening.
First of all, my belated congratulations on your appointment.
Thank you very much.
Now, what has it been like so far for you?
Well, it's been very hectic. It's been a lot of work, as you would imagine, that needs to be carried out, more particularly for a new political party. We have had to do the extra bit to get out to the people, to get people to know the party and what it stands for. And also it's been quite exciting as well, exciting times for the party because of the support that the party has been able to gain over the last few weeks since being in existence.
What has the party's support been like here?
Well, the party support has been very good, very encouraging. Everywhere that we have been, people have come out and supported the party. There is a clear, there's a clear want from the people for something new in politics. They want a departure from the past, and we recognize that people do not want a repetition of what's happened in the past. They're looking at a new kind of politics, and the People's Democratic Party will fill that vacuum.
Okay. Well, you say the people want a departure from the past. I'm going to ask to go back to the past. Now, let's go back a bit, and I'm going to ask you about your involvement in politics. You've been for many years a trade unionist, and an obvious transition into politics, some would say, was imminent. Now, how did it all begin for you?
Well, I've been involved in the trade union movement for the last 32 years, and the best part of my life, basically serving the workers of this country. And there is no real clear line between the work of a trade unionist and politics, because anything that happens in politics affects workers. And therefore, it becomes the trade union's role to not only protect workers' interests, but to promote workers' interests in form of better legislation, better policy on part of government, better enforcement on part of government on legislation for workers. So this becomes an everyday work of a trade unionist, and therefore transiting into politics is quite natural for trade unionists. It's a pity that this government has chosen to try and draw a line between politics and trade unions, which really does not make any sense at all.
Okay. Now, you were a member of the Fiji Labour Party up until 2012, and much has been said, assumptions have also been made, but as you vehemently stated in your past comments, and also prior to your appointment as the leader of the PDP, that PDP is not a breakaway of the Fiji Labour Party. Now, how different is the People's Democratic Party?
Well, I believe the People's Democratic Party is a new party on its own, that stands out on its own, has its own principles, and also is determined to abide by its principles and not drop them on the wayside as we move on. First of all, let me say that the People's Democratic Party is a truly multiracial party. It is not a party that becomes multiracial come the elections and then goes back to its old ways when elections are over. We are determined to build a multiracial Fiji, and we believe that if we're talking true multiracialism, multiculturalism, it has to start from the bottom up. And we have involved all people from all walks of life, people from all races, from in all our structures, from the bottom to the top, and even up to the leadership level. We also are different in the way that we involve women and youth within the leadership. We have moved away from the common practice in the country of forming women's wing and youth wing. We would want to be more inclusive, that they are involved in the leadership of the party, and our constitution clearly states that at least 30% women and 20% youth must be involved in all structures of the leadership of the party. And that would include our candidates in this coming elections. Quite apart from that, when we talk and preach democracy, we believe that it has to start from home. And I'm proud to lead a political party that's multiracial, but I'm also proud to lead a party where I am elected by the rank and file membership of the party. And we are the only political party in this country that actually don't only preach democracy, but actually practice democracy from within. So, these are some of the differences, but you will see a lot more of that when we launch our manifesto, where we are committed to social justice, and we are going to focus on the people who are at the bottom of the ladder in our society, and we are determined to lift them up in some very definite ways.
May I ask, you say that you are the only political party that practice democratic processes throughout. Now, isn't this the same with other political parties? Or how do you differentiate
No,
yourself?
the other political parties, the leadership is determined by either the delegates or the executive committee of the party. We are a party where on the 3rd of May, the rank and file membership of the party actually cast their votes to elect a leader. And on the 3rd of May, I was elected leader of the party.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Felix Anthony, the leader of the People's Democratic Party. We will take a short break, but we'll be right back after this short commercial break. Welcome back to For the Record. We're speaking with the leader of the People's Democratic Party. Just before the short break, we spoke about the processes that the PDP went through in order to elect their leader and how different it is from other political parties here in Fiji. Let's talk about, well, the party and what you stand for. Now, what will make you, or why should our voters here in Fiji vote for your party, PDP?
Well, the PDP stands for the workers of this country. It stands for the common man and woman of this country. And it stands for, in fact, all the people of this country. But our focus will be on restoring the rights and dignity of our people back. That has been taken away by the various number of decrees that this government has imposed. We believe that our people deserve to feel, to be able to exercise their rights, to feel free in this country. We want to remove the fear that has been instilled in our people since 2006. And we, as a party, would want to empower our people to feel that they are part of the nation building of this country. This is what we would call democracy. So far we have many of our people, and we are told that half of the voting people are below the age of 35 and have hardly experienced democracy or parliamentary democracy in this country. So this would really be the first taste for them on what democracy is, what freedoms are, what rights are, and how they are to be exercised. So we are determined to restore those rights and freedoms to our people and do that as soon as possible. And we believe in restoring those rights, we will restore their dignity as a people. Of course, we will be very strong on social justice. And here we will be focusing on people at the bottom of the ladder. We will be focusing on workers. We will be focusing on a living wage for our people. That is critical. We will be looking at other avenues of lifting people out of poverty, which is a serious issue for our people, and more of our people are getting poorer in this country, so that needs special attention. We will also be looking at unemployment issues. That's also a serious issue for our young people, and in fact people across the board, people who have been employed, who have been made redundant, people who are unable to find jobs, people who are underemployed in this country need special attention. And the PDP is committed to ensuring that we provide for these people, look at job creation, and our manifesto is going to be focusing on some of these issues. Of course, the other important area of concern is healthcare, and that's been a serious concern for many of our people. The conditions in our government hospitals are scary, actually, because there isn't enough medication, enough doctors, or equipment even to take care of our people. So these are some of the basic issues that the PDP will be concentrating on. And as we say, this is the People's Party.
Well, okay, there's quite a few questions I'm just going to ask you with regards from your answers. Now, you spoke of the percentage of young voters. Now, is this a specific area that the PDP is going to be targeting, young people?
Oh yes, we believe our young people have been underchanged by this government, and more so when it comes to opportunities, job opportunities in this country. And today we have a large percentage of our young workers who are unemployed or who are not able to find suitable employment. So there would be a special focus of the PDP. And I think you will also see that in our manifesto.
How will you create, how will you create these opportunities for these young people?
Well, that is a matter that we will be dealing with in our manifesto. Mm-hmm. And there are many suggestions that have come forward, and that is still being finalized. And as I said, that's a matter that I would rather discuss when our manifestos launch.
Okay. The People's Democratic Party president, Linda Tambuya, had mentioned in an interview that PDP were also looking at the undecided voters, those who have still, that the party feels that are falling under the undecided percentage. Now, do you have an estimate of undecided voters in the country?
Well, we're only going by what some of the polls have suggested, as unreliable they may be. But yes, clearly there are many undecided voters. There are many voters that have simply no idea of what's transpired over the last 7 years. And in many of our meetings that we've had with people, we get a response that they had not known of what was going on. They had not really known of what decrees that have been imposed on the people. So it's also a learning process for many voters during this campaign period. And I believe that those that are undecided will be in a position to decide once they have all the information. Those that are decided may want to change their mind because of the information that's going to be going out to the people. And I can understand the situation, because this is particularly because of all the restrictions on the media over the last 7 years or so. So people have not really got the full story of what the situation has been in the country and what laws actually have affected their rights and freedoms. And of course, what has affected the current situation in terms of poverty and unemployment and so forth.
Speaking of poverty, and you also mentioned improving living wages. Mm-hmm. Now, Mr. Anthony, how can you say just roughly how you're going to improve this, the lives of the people of our country?
Well, first of all, when I talk about living wage, it means at least the poverty line in the country. A $2 an hour minimum wage is senseless. All it does is put people more into poverty. The National Employment Center attachment scheme further drives down wages in this country to $50 a week or $60 a week, that is totally unacceptable, because what we see in the workplace today is greater exploitation, where permanent workers are being made redundant and replaced with attaches from the NEC, and that just drives people more into poverty. The PDP is going to look at a living wage, a realistic minimum wage, and of course target a living wage over a period of 4 years. So it will not be a immediate increase, but a gradual increase where everyone can make the necessary adjustments. Of course, special emphasis will be given to small and medium-sized enterprises, and special provisions will be made for them.
On that note, we'll take another short break right here on For the Record. We're back on For the Record, and we continue our discussion with the leader of the People's Democratic Party, Mr. Felix Anthony. Now, we talked about poverty, we talked about the living wages. Let's talk about health. You mentioned that also, improving the standards of our health system. How is PDP, roughly again, going to be in terms of policy and also improve the health system?
Well, firstly, I think what we really need to do is to make sure that we have the basic needs that our people require available in our hospitals. Mm-hmm. And that is basic medicine, enough sufficient doctors and nurses, sufficient equipment and appropriate equipment to treat people in our hospitals. Currently, we do not have that. We've had horror stories from people who go to hospitals and are required to go and buy medicine from the pharmacies, buy injections from pharmacies, get their own pillows and sheets to the hospitals if they need to be admitted to hospitals. Now, this is a disgrace, really. And the PDP is going to ensure that we have sufficient equipment and doctors to treat our people, to give them the basic treatment that they need in our hospitals. Quite apart from that, we must work to improve services to our people, including the waiting time in our outpatient department, and also to provide more specialized treatment to our people, where our people don't need to travel overseas or collect money from the public for overseas treatment.
But Mr. Anthony, these problems that you've highlighted, they've also been in place for many years before, even prior to 2006.
Well, if they have been there prior to 2006, there's no justification that they should continue. And it is incumbent on any government that comes in to try and improve that. And if this government has failed, it has no excuse to blame anyone else. And let me just remind people that this government has been in place for 8 years. It's not there for 6 months. So 8 years is sufficient time for any government to improve these services. And if they can't do it in 8 years, I don't believe they can ever do it.
What about education? Let's talk education.
Education, yes, that's also an area of concern. We're not only talking about free education in this country, we're talking about quality education in this country. How are our standards been affected by the current system that this government has imposed, the assessment system? What we find is that our teachers now have lesser contact time with students and have to spend more time in doing paperwork, assessing students. We've removed examinations from our education system. We don't believe that that is healthy, and that's counterproductive. The PDP will reintroduce examinations in high schools. The PDP will ensure that teachers spend more time with students than doing paperwork, which is affecting standards. The PDP will ensure that we have sufficient teachers. I've been to some rural schools, and we have one teacher looking after 2 or 3 classrooms, and that's not on. We must ensure that some of these issues are dealt with, and dealt with immediately. These are issues of great concern. We just don't want our students go through schools and come out and then find themselves inadequate. What we want is students, when they come out with quality education, that the standards are maintained.
Do you feel that having exams is the answer to continue to, is that part of quality?
Well, that is only part of the answer, but it is an important part of the answer because exams actually enable students to even reassess their own performance, teachers to assess students' performance, and then deal with any shortcomings that may arise.
Do you not feel that the assessment based tasks that they are performing now is also a great assessment point for the students and also for the teachers?
Well, it may be a great system, but it is not working. It is not working simply because in assessments, students are given tasks. And let me be honest, I mean, these tasks are performed at home, and teachers have no idea who really performs this task. Is it the student, or is it the elder brother or sister, or is it the parents? So it is really not the best really way to make an assessment. Quite apart from that, we're not saying that we should do away totally with the assessment thing. But what we're saying is that there ought to be both systems in place where we have examinations and there is an assessment as well. But examinations are a critical part.
But don't we have that now? Or do we still have some examinations and also the assessment base?
No, I don't think, we have examinations within the school, but there is no external examinations. And the external examinations would appear to be more independent assessment of the child's performance. Yeah?
Okay. How do you feel the increase of social media has impacted the voters here in Fiji? And how does PDP intend to take this on?
Well, we have been active on the social media. That's an important part of our campaign. Right now, we have something like 26,000 likes on our Facebook. And we're quite excited about that. We believe that will play a critical part in the elections, as it has in other countries. So, yes, we will be actively engaged on that part.
So you feel that the response also from your social media networking sites are working?
Oh yes, it is working, and it's been useful, and it's also been helpful for us as well, because we do get to interact with people. We get views, some of them very good, some of them negative, but it is helpful. It gives us an overview of how people are thinking.
Okay. Now, just before we wrap up the show, as we're fast approaching the end of it, I'm going to have to ask Fiji Trade Union Congress, as you were the General Secretary of FTUC, now at this time, with the appointment of the acting FTUC, do you feel that if you are not successful at this elections, would you go back to as a trade unionist?
Well, let me just say one thing. The only reason I've left the trade union movement is because of the political party's registration decree that this government has imposed on us. I had no desire to leave the trade union movement. And let me just make one thing very clear, that this government can impose any decrees that can get me out of the union, but they can't impose any decrees that will get the union out of me. I'm going to be a union man. I've been a union man all my life, and I'm going to be a union man till the day I die.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm just going to quickly ask you for your definition. What does democracy mean to you?
Well, that's a difficult one. Democracy means different things to a lot of people, but to me it means my rights and freedoms, and my right to elect a government of my choice.
Thank you very much for taking the time to join us this evening. And thank you for joining us this evening on For the Record. For comments, you can send them to fortherecord@fbc.com.fj. And please do join us again next week, right here on FBC TV. Good night, Fiji.